We'll call this meeting to order. Consent to read to the invitation.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We pray that you bless this meeting, that everything that's said and done be according to your will. Bless everyone here and their homes that they represent. We pray for Tiny as he gets his 5-year, pen. He's a faithful servant of yours and he works hard, so we thank you for him. Thank you, Lord, for this day. This ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mayor Black, not here today. Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Here.
Commissioner Connor. Commissioner Law. Here. Commissioner Locklear. And Commissioner Morton.
Here.
And our attorney said that traffic was pretty bad coming in, but he'll just be a couple minutes late, but he'll be here.
Next item is adoption of the agenda. Ms. Connor made the second. All in favor? Board recognition. Mr. James Wright, for 5 years service on the state level.
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Board, I'm gonna let our Public Works Director, Mr. Green, handle this one and talk about what the exciting thing we're gonna celebrate tonight.
Good evening, Town of Ranlo and Commissioners. I want to speak tonight and recognize Chris Wright. He's Tiny, 5 years of service to the Town of Ranlo. Chris is a valuable team member of the Ranlo Public Works. Chris is currently assigned to the Stormwater and Powell Bill Division. Chris is responsible for maintaining the roads, sidewalks, stormwater infrastructure. Chris is also our fixer on mechanical issues from anything from the garbage truck to the splash pad. Chris must have been born with the knowledge of how to operate equipment. I can go out on the job site and just look and wonder how he ever even got the tractor down in the bottom of that ditch. Chris is one of the guys that if I didn't have a lot of work would have to be contracted out for the family. Thank you for your time and dedication to your family, Teresa, for allowing those late night phone calls from me. At this time, I'd like to give Chris a round of applause for dedication for the Sam family.
And I will say too, one time we were, up on Spencer Mountain when the, storms came through, the tornadoes came through. We were having a hard time getting one of the chainsaws started. We were up on Spencer Mountain Road, there was nobody else around, the road was closed both ways, it felt like a war zone. Tiny came up, basically just looked at the saw, touched one button and started right up. He's got a way with machine.
Okay, comments from attendees? Okay. The old business, adoption of the June 2024 regular meeting minutes of the board. Do I have a motion? Still all about the motion?
Okay.
Yes, Lockton motion. All in favor? Business, presentation of monthly expense and financial report.
Yes, so I'll handle the testing, that's okay. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Board, before you tonight, as I've mentioned in the last several meetings, it is our new monthly expense financial report, which I'm very excited about. So our first report was given to you last month from our finance director, Ms. Day, as a year-end and sort of fiscal closeout, right? Like a look at the end of the year, this is where we stacked up, this is how we did. And it kind of just gave an encompassing kind of end to the fiscal year, if you will. This one before you tonight is going to be the first of what's going to be, as I kind of promised back in March, our monthly updates, right? So when you take a look at this, it's basically just going to be our financial standings, some of our account expenditures, and what she has done is given you on the first page, if you want to take a look at it, it's our finance overall report. So that's just the status of all of our accounts. I know it had been asked of by this board in the past to see like interest and different numbers like that. So that's an overall standing. And if you go to page 2, you have your monthly year-to-date report. So it shows Ms. Day has put together how far along in our fiscal year we are, the percent remaining of our fiscal year, and then for each department, how much we have spent, and then whether we are standing at a surplus or a deficit for those accounts. So I'm very excited about this because, as you know, this is something that I manage, but I've also said that there's great value in that this elected body knows exactly where the money is and money stands. And for that matter, the people, right? So as an open and an honest government, I think this is one of the most important things that we can do is be upfront and honest. That way you know exactly where the money is going, exactly what's happening with the projects, the current financial standings, so that way you have the power to be able to make any decisions that you need without having to wonder what's there and what's not. And just so you know too, obviously this is not as robust of a report as the last one, but that's just because we're 4% through the fiscal year. So it's kind of just going to get bigger as the fiscal year goes by. I'm happy to answer any questions about it, but Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, there's no needed action with this one. This will just be, in fact, at one point, I'll probably build it into a consent agenda where you kind of you just receive it and we kind of just approve it as received. But that's before you tonight, just for your information.
FY 24-25.
Yes, sir. So what I'll do, and I'll kind of just take this one too. What I'll do at first is I'm going to speak about each of the 3 budget amendments so that you have before you tonight together. That way you kind of just know all about what's going on. But then we're going to go through each one separately. So if you remember back in the budget workshop, so none of this will be a surprise to you. These are all just the happenings of some of the decisions that the board discussed back in March and April. It was decided by council in order to procure some of the equipment and some of these bigger sort of capital outlay requests that we weren't able to put into our general operating budget, that we would initiate essentially a fund balance transfer for some of these one-time equipment costs, right? So that was something that the board was interested in. If you remember, these items that discussed were 3 police flock cameras. And if you want to know what that is, I think we discussed it. I'm happy to talk about it again. It's essentially cameras that take photos of license plates of vehicles that go by and can run against police databases, and we would know essentially if something needed to be checked out. a zero-turn lawnmower for the Public Works Department, and a tractor for the Public Works Department. These are things that we had talked about, and I can go into the need and the want. We kind of touched on a lot of that stuff when we were in the budget workshops, and I'm happy to do that for each of these three. But before you tonight are those three different things, or these different three budget ordinances and amendments, if you will, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Which one was the one first?
The agenda says, let's go 1, 2, 3, so if we can just follow that, that would be perfect. And they should be in order in your stack as well. So the first will be the fund balance appropriation for the flock cameras.
So, full block cameras, really?
4 total. Yeah, I think I said 3. I misspoke when I was given the, because there's one mobile one as well. There's going to be 3 that are stationary. Yeah, that's my fault. I just didn't need to say it. 3 that are stationary in place and 1 that we can move to any part of town when we feel necessary. There have been conversations about it, definitely, but I think we're going to probably just look into, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing because we don't want to just rush into it. So we've had conversations about it, but like if it's set in stone yet, not necessarily. But I can absolutely tell the board when we decide fully. Yeah. Especially with the mobile one, that will be essentially moving all the time. But that's before you just, for the board's consideration for, if see fit, a motion to approve.
Consideration, first thing, a zero-turn lawnmower for the Public Works Department. At cost of $18,000. It's come out of the general fund.
General fund, that would be a, fund balance appropriation, just like the first one. Because our current mower is in very bad shape and has a lot of hours on it.
Next one. Purchase a bush off tractor. I want to make a comment on this. I would like to amend this, item to, raise the price to be no more than $50,000. Because we spend $30,000 on a used mower and the motor blows in as soon as we get it. We have no warranty. Then need to get more money on putting the motor in the mower installed, my tractor installed. So I'd like to cap it at $50,000.
Will that hurt our fund balance?
So this,
Come out of,
that's correct, because this will be mainly for street.
it's not only the motion to amend the
Budget.
budget
Amend the amendment.
Yep.
Make such motion.
Motion on the floor, second. All in favor? Right. Now, I need a motion for three to purchase the fish haul for no more than $50,000. I make a motion. Consideration of a speed bump installation on Sapphire Drive. The
Yes.
traffic study.
I can handle that one if that's okay too, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. So before you tonight, we have a discussion about something I'm bringing up, which is a proposed speed bump on Sapphire. I'll give you a lot of context and some background here because there is a lot that kind of goes back into this. So when the Mountain View neighborhood was being built, and if I'm misspeaking by anybody that knows this just from being here longer than me, please correct me. There originally was a speed bump, so if you're coming off of Spencer Mountain on Mitcham, you're past where those new houses are being built now, there was, right where it turns into Sapphire, which is where it turns into a town road, because Mitcham and Spencer Mountain are the only two state roads in town. Right when it turns into Sapphire, there was a speed bump there within that first maybe 100 feet. And it was removed, I think it was removed because the model homes were being built, or anyways, the speed bump was removed. So several months ago, I had a meeting with the Mountain View HOA president and some other representatives from Mountain View. to discuss, hey, why was that taken out? We had talked about it coming back. We hadn't seen anything about it. And we said, hey, great, we're happy to hear about that. Let's see if there's something we can do. So we essentially conducted a traffic study, and you have a letter here from Chief Lunsford that kind of talks about that. So what we basically found was that there was a lot of speed. So at least about a third of the traffic that passed by is going over the 25-mile-an-hour speed zone, because it's obviously a long straightaway coming down Mitcham. And we had seen speed ranges up to 37 miles an hour going right there through Sapphire into Mountain View. So when we kind of came up with that and landed on all that information, took a look at the data, and you kind of think about the major safety concern that not only the HOA has, but that we as a staff have with pedestrians, children, neighbors. We're going to work on at some point extending that sidewalk that way. There's more connectivity in the neighborhood. Like, there's a lot to consider, but the public safety side of it has kind of gotten me to a place where, at least tonight, I'm going to recommend to the board that we do install it, and it's up to the board to have that discussion. But after having conversation with Mr. Tosco, the way our ordinance is written now, that power still lies with the board. So I can't go out and say we're going to do a speed bump here. We're not going to. So what's before you tonight, or I guess what the board can consider, would be the staff's recommendation and with the HOA support to install a speed bump right there at Sapphire, but this will be for the board to discuss.
I know the old one was there, and they built a house with driveway and stuff right on the speed up, that's why I was saying that.
Yeah, and I kind of put a map there just so you see the spot, and forgive me, I'm not an illustrator or an artist by any means. But when we put it in, we wouldn't obviously put it in a spot that's going to hinder somebody from backing up into, because that happened further down the road, the same exact situation, which would not get ourselves into, so. But I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's kind of our due diligence on the speed bump before you. Any questions?
One at the beginning of coming down Wicklow, and they want one, it was just Wicklow and Sun River. The ones at the cul-de-sac back in Sun River are complaining about people speeding through there with the kids out there and
Sure.
all. And right there on Wicklow, actually near my driveway, my neighbor's been having a problem. The kids are trying to play basketball in the driveway, ball runs out in the street, cars are coming by fast, going down that hill. So I just wanted to see
Yeah.
if the board is okay with, or if you would even consider the possibility of adding 2 speed bumps also on Spencer Heights. That's an option.
If that's what the board sees fit, I mean, we're happy to do it. We could also, I could see if we could work in, based on, kind of our availability with the police department, if he wants to do another study, or if you just say, you know what, I've seen it, I know we speed, we will do what the board says on that. And if you have any comment that I may be missing, feel free to, but I think that's conservative a little more.
Addition, we're gonna run it together.
I think there would have to be a motion to at least, or I guess just a motion would have to be put to put all of them together. The only thing I would maybe caution, just in a due diligence sake, I'd like to go out there and put my eyes on it, or have our folks go out and put our eyes on it. That way, we're doing the right thing instead of just going out and slapping it out there. And then maybe we could all even meet and stand out there to say, do we think this is a good spot? Is this far enough on that road? Look at some DOT specs. I'm all for absolutely doing it. I just would definitely like, because we did a lot of due diligence with this to make sure that's in a good spot. But if that's what you want us to do, we're happy to do it.
Motion to direct staff to study. speed bump on that area.
And we can revisit next month if you'd like.
Motion to,
Sapphire.
Sapphire.
Sapphire. And speak something about the
we have a motion on the table. I think, second, Mr. Moore, all in favor? Project update, grant projects.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Board, so what I've kind of put together here is, we have a lot of very exciting projects happening here in Ranlo. During our last board meeting, I was kind of very financial and number driven. I wanted to make sure that you had all the most accurate and recent finances. You received basically a document that looks exactly like the next one in your pocket or in your packet, that shows the list of the projects and the monies, where they come from and what's associated with. What this is step 2. This is the next step, right? So you got the finance portion down, you got where the money's coming from. It's a huge web of complexity, but we've got it all figured out. What I wanted to do tonight was tell you where we are with each one, because now we had it figured out. Now let's figure out where we stand with each of these. So I'm going to walk you through that sheet that looks exactly like this. So the water meter upgrades. So, I'll start with kind of the overarching kind of header. So the NCDEQ grant, that 2.8 million, the water meter upgrades, that was completed, that is done. South Ranlo water line upgrades, that is the portion down towards like Wills. We're still waiting on easements, and then we'll be able to submit that to DWI at the state for approval to get going on that. The Ranlo extension water lines. So, and this is kind of where it gets funky, but I'll explain. It'll only take a half a second. We're paying for the Ranlo Avenue extension roadway and water line project out of 2 different buckets of money. So the water line portion is going to be paid for by the NCDEQ grant. The roadway itself is getting paid from that SCIF grant that you can see a little bit lower. So that project was submitted to DEQ, and then I'll kind of give more updates as we talk about the roadway extension. As you know, as I'm moving into SCIF here now, that 3.5, the Boulder Court upgrades were completed, Ranlo Avenue extension. This is kind of the big one. This is the exciting news of the day. Since our last meeting, that project has been approved by DWI. It's been approved by the state, and it's actually already out for bid. So we already have it out for bid, and I've just, I think I was told recently that we actually already have a couple folks that are interested. So essentially what we'll do is we'll open bids in the beginning of August and then try to select a contractor. I think our kind of loose guideline right now is that we're hoping to be in construction kind of somewhere between September and November for the Ranlo roadway project, which keeps us way ahead of all the deadlines for obligation and expending that money. So that's very exciting that not only are we approved by the state, but we're already out for bid, and I think there's some attraction. So as you know, the lodge was upgraded. That's all completed. And the sidewalk upgrades that are the last part of that SCIF grant, that's kind of just on the back burner, last one. Once we get through the rest of those projects, then we'll go back into to that as well. The North Carolina General Assembly money, that $5 million, still working on receiving a letter, or we just received rather the letter of fund from the state, and that starts. The meetings are going to start coming up for that in the next couple months. We actually just had a meeting today in regards to the $1 million that we got from Congress, from Congressman Jeff Jackson. We just met with the USDA who's administering that money, and we just had a meeting with them at 2 o'clock today, and they were awesome. I mean, they were super nice. They're like, hey, this is your money. We're so excited for you to use it. We got a chance to, with our engineers, go over the project to talk about that secondary water interconnect along with the water line improvements up in the Monterey Park area for that project. And they're super excited to work with us. So that's going to be getting kicked off here in no time. And then obviously the HUD money we have, that $2 million, we're still waiting on kind of some clerical different things with like their website and getting logged into that. And then the lead and copper inventory, this is the last one. I know I'm talking a million miles a minute, and I'm happy to answer questions afterward, but we are almost 100%, I'd say probably 95% complete, done with the data of the lead and copper inventory. And what's exciting about this too, and we haven't really touched on this, is that there's an October deadline, and I think it's a substantially lower number that you have to meet. But we are going to be one of the only municipalities in the county, and if not even a larger area, that's going to have this completed ahead of time and on time. We kind of really got ahead of that, and that thanks to Jason Green, our Public Works Director, who's put a lot of work in on that. We're going to be one of the only municipalities that's going to be ahead of this game. So it's very, very exciting. But I'm happy to answer any questions about that. I know I rolled right through it. There's a lot to talk about. That's good problems to have. That means we've got a lot of projects. But if you have anything, I'm happy to answer. So. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So that Yep, that exact project is the one up at the top that says under NCDQ grant, the South Ranlo water line upgrades. So at some point when I transitioned in, I'm trying to locate, I think there was an effort to go get easements. And when I mean like easements, like if we're putting the hydrant in your front yard and, there needs to be a 1.5 foot by 1.5 foot easement. I think some of that documentation, we're still just trying to track down. But once we get those easements taken care of, then that'll be getting kicked off. Yeah, and there was a lot of easements because there's a lot of work to do, which shows that there was a need, which is a good thing. I am gonna just keep running my mouth, Mayor Pro Tem, if that's all right. So I'll just touch on a couple things. As you know, our July celebration, very exciting, takes place this Saturday from 3 to 9, or we say 9 because that's probably when the fireworks are gonna go off. We are hoping, Chief has been the pro positive manifestation here of there's going to be no rain. There's going to be no rain. There's going to be no storms. We are keeping an eye on it because right now it's like 50. We've seen 80%. We've seen storms. We're not positive yet. And I'm making light of it, but obviously if it's showing that there's going to be like an imminent danger, we'll have this more serious conversation about what we need to do because there's going to be inflatables, a DJ, you name it. We don't want kids playing in a severe storm. And so I'm making light of it, but we are going to take it very seriously. We're keeping an eye on the weather. We've been talking about it each day, but we're really excited about that happening. Another event coming up here prior to our next meeting will be the Police Department's National Night Out event. This event is on August 6th here in Ranlo, and as you know, this is a big deal. This is a big event, much bigger than our July celebration. Our police department and community partners put this together. It's an incredible event that I'm excited to see for the first time. Would just like to commend Chief and all the folks in here who have been a part of that and our community members who have come and have been, whether it's donating or helping or whatever it may be, but there's been a lot of support. But I just want to thank Chief for working on that. It's a big deal and he takes it very seriously. So thank you, Chief, for that. And then I also want to talk about, just take a quick second to recap and thank the YMCA for the amazing T-ball season that we had. It is wrapped up, unfortunately, but we had 110 kids play in the T-ball league, which is just astounding. I mean, that's so wonderful. And we actually just had a meeting with the YMCA folks yesterday. And I did want to just bring up, just so the board knows, because we said to them, we want more. We want more leagues. We want more involvement. And they're all about it. They're right there with us. But the only thing that might be a bit of a speed bump, no pun intended, a bit of a roadblock for us, if you will, is that spring, summer sports were great. Sun's up till 9 o'clock. But in fall and winter sports, when the sun starts going down, it's 5 o'clock and it's pitch black outside. We do have some lights on this field. They run down the first baseline. They run down the third baseline. There's none back on the housing side, and it doesn't run all the way up here to the basketball court side. So I think what we're going to try to do, because that's going to put us in a place where we're not sure at this moment if we can do fall and winter sports. What we're going to do is kind of like a step one is we're going to meet with the Y in the evening, maybe even Saturday when it's, when we're all here, and flip the lights on and see exactly what the illumination looks like. To see if it's going to be something that can sustain, winter sports. Because if we're playing flag football and it's 7 o'clock and it's wintertime, it's going to be dark outside. So the big concern was illumination. So we're going to kind of get our hands around what does our field look like? Can we handle it? And then essentially, if not, we would miss out on winter sports this year. And then if it's something that the board is interested in saying, hey, we need to change that, then you could always, direct me essentially to explore options to change that. But we're going to take a look first and see what the Y thinks about what we have as it is. But then when spring rolls back around, we'll be right back in there for, the soccer and the T-ball and stuff. But I did want to just kind of make sure that we didn't end with some of the stress, and I'm happy to have that conversation more, but it was a big success T-ball season. I think we learned a couple things that will definitely improve. Next time we had some great talks with the Y folks about some things they want to make a little bit better, some things that we could probably do, like helping them with like parking or whatever it may be. But it was exciting to have sports back in Ranlo, and I think it was a big success. So, any questions about the Y parts? Easy enough. And last but not least, and I promise I'll stop. I'm very grateful to this board. I just want to say thank y'all for letting us, I say us, my family, move that meeting to this week. It was the first time my baby got to go to the beach. She loved it. She's 10 months old. She got to even hold a crab at one point. in a safe manner, but just wanted to say thank y'all for letting us do that. So now I'm gonna pass it off to Chief Lunsford, who's gonna give our monthly police report.
Police department responded to 575 calls last month, 48 citations, made 7 arrests. Some of the calls we responded to, 4 death investigations, 17 kidnappings, 8 vehicle wrecks, break-ins, 7 overdoses, and 4 shooting calls, with numerous other calls. That's all I have.
What about finding the lost gentleman?
We did respond to that, and that'll come out on this month.
Oh, okay.
That's with the help of our drone, Mr. Hanson come out for that. So with our drone, the canine, they have to locate there. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
There. Comes from the board.
Just calm, clean here. Everything is great, and I just have to share with you all, as you probably already know. Ranlo has an Olympian. Ranlo has a young lady born here in Ranlo off Everett Street, right there in Mountain View. Went to Brookside, went to Holbrook. Competition wasn't that great in Gastonia. So her father took her to Mallard Creek High School so she could get better training and all that. She runs track for 400 meters. So she finished high school in Mallard Creek, got a full scholarship to University of Arkansas. She's a Razorback. Once she got there, she started traveling, competing in track. And she made the trials. She is an Olympian. She's headed to Paris on the 26th of this month. And we should be so proud. Charlotte keeps saying she's Charlotte Mavis, but she's not. She was born and raised here in Ranlo. But, you know, okay, they want to take it from us. All right. She is from Ranlo, it's the only place she's ever lived. Parents are amazing. Gary and Nikki Brown, great Christian family, very supportive of this young lady. I was asking people for donations for this family as they are headed to Paris to support her, which they have done at all of their track meets. So this is taking a big financial hit on this family. And Olympics is supposed to be, 11 days? They're gonna be there in Paris. So, and I thank those who've been generous enough to already donate to this family. But they already said it, regardless, we got to just lose the house and everything. We are going to Paris with our daughter. So I want you all to be proud. I don't know if Ranlo's ever had an Olympian before, but you got one now. And we need to be supportive, cheer her on, 4x400 meter relay. And, her name is Caitlin Brown. So, there you all go. Go Ranlo.
Go Ranlo.
Olympics, dark, and opening is the 26th of July. It's going on like August 5th or something like that. And, I don't know what day, I don't know when they do the relays. I'm hoping to find out soon.
That sounds fantastic.
And I think she, and the 4x400, she's gonna be running with the lady that's the fastest. That's Shakira, and she's like the fastest in the world right now. I think she's in.
Right with her?
Are you keeping that with?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got something. You know, me and Ronnie, we've been, cause this thing, I want to know what was disturbing. The young lady going in the women's bathroom and out while I was in one of them, so. When she came out, then I went to proceed to lock the women's bathroom. the young man behind that door, you know. He said he was trying to find me in the bathroom. I said, don't tell me a lie again, because coming that stay out of the mountain. What I'm going to suggest is, I don't know if that can happen more, but we need to put no lottery signs around the concession stand, and then that way the police can enforce it, because and the concession stand, it's gonna get vandalized and stuff like that, and then that way we get that no lottery sign up, and the police get by and they can run them off, and the parents can say that.
It would be the same thing, but, a little girl went in there, and he was behind the door, and he knew it was the parent. That's dangerous.
It was very alarming. I told them, I said, oh, but I, realized Gabby that when I came back, well, they was gone, they was outside, so, and they ain't been back out there, and, you know, but that was very disturbing, because we don't know what they done in the back.
So we have to put up the no lottery sign for the police to react, or run them off, or whatever.
I think really if there's any, because it's still a park, right? You know, we still want, if there's folks that are using the splash pad to be able to go, use the restroom, if we have the YMCA that's there, you know, we would definitely want to make sure that we're not creating an atmosphere where you feel like you can't stand there, especially if you're enjoying like, you know, a soda or something like that. So I would like to kind of just nail down what it would kind of specifically mean. I mean, if there's any civil disturbance, you know, our police department would go out. You know, it's just going to be kind of a balance that I'm going to try to, I guess, work with. Because, you know, we don't necessarily want to be, you know, policing the restrooms. You know, we need to be out in town, we need to be patrolling, we need to be, you know, making sure that everything in town is safe. And if that's a sign, you know, if that's what the board sees fit, I would just want to, my advice, which may be worth nothing, but would just be to make sure if we're going to put that up, we kind of have at least some clear guidance around what that would mean, so that we're not policing bathrooms all the time and can be out in town, but also, like you said, that we have a safe restroom to be able to use. Hate that sounded wishy-washy, but just some things to consider.
What's your thought?
If you'd like to get.
Well, you got what time, 9 AM, 9 PM?
So that's, we had recently talked about that, Commissioner. I really think you're hitting the nail on the head here. Is that we should probably, and this can be something that I can do before next meeting, is come up with a very clear and concise, and even if it's not the no loitering sign, it's a park or restroom or park hour sign, right? Because like we don't have specific hours for the restrooms right now. Even if we had hours that someone may disagree with, if it's clear, then clear is kind, right? If we know that every Monday through Friday, it's whatever, 10 to 2, or if every Saturday and Sunday, it's 11 to 1, or whatever the times are, I think we made a sign of that. And then we know that it's getting locked when it's, you know, supposed to be closed. I think that would also go a long way in giving some clarity to some of the residents who may go there and it may be open, or may go there and it's not. I think it would just be good practice for us to have a clear procedure for having just hours for it anyway, just like we have hours for this building. Commissioner, we could talk more about it too. I'd be happy to put something together before next month to kind of maybe talk about. Yeah, I kind of, my brain always goes back to like, is this an SOP? Is this a standard operating procedure, right? Like, are we talking about something that's an issue because there's a missing policy, right? Could a policy and procedure solve this? And my brain's telling me I think it would help a lot. Where if there was clear expectations and guidelines, just like we have for our parks, just like we have for anywhere, like we have for when you walk in this building, you know, it opens at 8:30. You know, that you can't have weapons when you walk in. If we have the same thing at the parks, it opens at this time and it closes this time. I think that helps some of that.
Oh, yeah. If there was times, might be best advised that you,
Sure.
accompany your young one in the restroom.
We could work through that in the policy process. It would be town staff. And the reason I say that is because, and I go back to thinking about like when I was a kid, and I won't go on a long story here, but like when I was a kid growing up playing ball, I was running around doing all that stuff. I was throwing baloney at the ceiling, like I was, I was a kid, right? But I knew when I walk around in Henrico County in Virginia and I saw the guys with the Henrico County shirt, that I'd be like, all right, maybe I shouldn't mess around, right? So I think there is benefit in it being town staff where it's somebody who's easily identifiable, maybe has a town shirt on, something like that. And that way too, if someone's asking, it's kind of just like, oh, we're town staff, and we can work through internally, working out the procedure on this is who closes it, and we can have that before next month. But that would be kind of my recommendation, because it also helps too for, we talk about parents going into restrooms, like all that stuff. It'd be nice to have, official staff handling that. That way, at least everybody in the public too feels like they're, safe about that. I just think that what I keep hearing is there just needs to be a process and procedure, and I can put something like that if that's what the board would like. Yeah.
Parts.
Yeah.
That
And I can do that in part of the research. Yeah, one of my favorite sayings is we can't possibly be the only people to have this problem, right? Like everybody around us has a thing. And, we have great relationships with everybody around us. So I'll reach out, and we probably won't even have to recreate the wheel. We can probably just piggyback on a similar policy and just kind of roll it. Sorry to ramble.